Hello and welcome back to the Real Estate Roundup podcast. I am Kobe Zinn and I am joined here by my co-host for today, Andres Martinez and Tony Flores. And today we're going to be talking about the benefits of owning real estate and building wealth through real estate as an asset class versus renting. But before we do that, I just want to catch up with you guys a little bit. And how are you guys doing today?
Awesome.
Doing well.
Yeah.
That's great to hear. Yes. That's great to hear. But yeah, let's catch up a little bit. I know it's been a couple weeks or so since we gotten like an update from you guys. So I'd love to get an update just to see how you guys are doing. And Tony, we'll start with you, man. What's been going on your end of things, and how's everything coming along for you?
Doing well. We're just got a house recently that was only on the market about 4 or 5 days. It's kind of an investment house, and the owner of the house had been renting it out for years and years, and they decided they were ready to kind of get this one sold. So they had a target price in mind, and it went to market. It needs some work, but the main thing is we were getting a lot of offers. And one of the things that I did is I asked the seller, hey, because this house needs a lot of work, give me a price range or price point that you won't even potentially entertain offers at. And so we had a listed price, and then we had the bottom line. They're not going to even look at offers. So I didn't need to send them every single offer, but I would just update them, hey, we got some offers, but I would let the agent or the person sending the offer know, hey, sorry, but at this time, my seller isn't looking at offers in your price range. And it just helped kind of take away the, hey, here's a low ball offer, here's another low ball offer. So the seller didn't have to be essentially, overwhelmed with a bunch of offers that they were already planning on rejecting anyway. And it took away, less clutter from their email, their text, and all that kind of stuff. We are supposed to present every offer, but if we have it in writing, then I don't need to present those offers, because again, for listing at a certain price and they're going to do, offer half or 1/3 of the price. They weren't at the stage where they're ready to look at those offers. So got that under contract very quickly, and it was on market probably about a week, and it was actually a really good offer because the price worked for the seller and obviously the buyer, and they didn't want to extend it with contingencies or inspections or anything like that. So it worked out pretty well for the seller.
Nice. Yeah, that's a big win there coming up here. So congrats on that. And same thing to you, Andres. What's been going on? What's been on your side? I know things are picking up a little bit from just our conversations.
Yeah, so it has been picking up here as of recent. I also been monitoring the market. The Fed decided not to raise interest rates, but they also didn't lower them. As we expected, we thought that around this time we would start seeing the interest rates kind of tail down. They haven't tailed down. Now they're expecting only one rate cut this year. So does that make everyone nervous? Is it not a good time to buy? It actually, the new home builders have adjusted. They're buying down rates. They're paying closing costs. As there is some properties that are specially priced, trying to make it affordable to people to move in. So this a week was really busy. That was one factor where the new builders are adapting, and just monitoring that interest rate, because like you said, we always want to be educated. We always want to be able to give information as it happens, because your real estate professional, the more he knows, the more he can educate you, the more comfortable you're going to be making that decision to purchase a home.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, and it's a good transition into what we wanted to talk a little bit about here today, which is the actual benefits of owning a home, right? I'm sure, as we go into again, probably going to be a recurring theme here in the summertime, but a lot of people are starting to consider owning a home, right? Whether or not they should actually buy versus continuing to rent, right? A lot of people start to get to the end of their leases as well. That is something that they want to start thinking about. So I'd love for you guys to just start off here and share your opinions on, the benefits of owning real estate, right? Owning a home versus continuing to rent, because there's a lot of people out there who are getting different opinions on this. But I think it would be really good to get the opinions of actual real estate professionals in the market who are helping people make that transition on a day-to-day basis. So we'll start with you, Andres, on this one, and just your opinions on owning a home, the benefits of that versus continuing to rent.
The benefit of owning a home, as I just mentioned, everyone's afraid of interest rates, right? But if you're renting, you're paying 100% interest. You're paying someone else as investment off, and you're helping them gain wealth, right? So I would rather put that money in a property where it could grow for me. My kids can inherit it, and hopefully build a portfolio of multiple properties in the future. So it's always very important uh, to have that real estate professional that could get you the best deal and kind of guide you through the process. Guys, as long as we are breathing, there's going to be an opportunity somewhere in the real estate market. If properties are not moving as fast, prices are going to drop. People are going to buy down rates, and they're going to possibly contribute towards closing costs, right? I know it's different between new builders and existing homes, but your realtors are also very, very good at negotiating a contribution for you. So, when is a good time to buy? Anytime is a good time to buy if you're getting accurate information, if your realtor or your sales consultant is offering you a good deal, and educating you, so that decision could be a little bit easier. So it's always a good time to buy.
Yeah, I like that answer. All right, because and you mentioned the interest rates earlier on as well, and people are that's something they consider, right? Maybe I should wait until interest rates drop. People want to time the market, but you brought up a really good point, which is if you're renting, you're paying 100% interest rate, or you're not building any equity towards your wealth. So that's a really, really good point for people to keep in mind. The same question to you, Tony. Owning versus renting. I know you are an agent and you are also a real estate investor. So I'm sure there's a lot that a lot of opinions and thoughts you have on this. But the benefits of owning versus renting. What are your thoughts on these?
Yeah, so I think the main thing is we want to get across today is don't renew a lease until you hear everything we've got to say, and do your own research as well, because the important thing is when you're looking at renting versus owning, you could look at what your rent rate is and what is a house that's affordable to you. So we will pair you up and with a couple of different lenders, and then they'll just give you, say, hey, you can afford a payment in this payment range. And then so from that information we say, okay, what are your goals? Is your goal just to really rentals are, if you think about it, are rentals intended to be a permanent destination for you, or is it just a temporary kind of like a way station? Well, renting is great when you're young and you're still in transition from maybe establishing yourself, getting yourself situated in a job, in a career, and then but quickly after that, or as soon as you can, really look at the comparison of what you can do. In a lot of cases right now, because the interest rates are higher than they have been in the last 5 or 6 or 7 years, there's been some really, really strong incentives from both, a private individual because they know they need to contribute towards rate buy downs, but also new construction are offering super, super great incentives because they know people are sitting on the sidelines and they're trying to come up with ideas. Well, what if we can do this? What are the barriers? The barrier is a down payment or heavier down payment than, you know, we those kind of things can be overcome if you go to the right people and know what you can do. One example of buying versus renting. So, when I bought my first house, I think we were there 7 or 8 years, and I think we got, when we bought it versus when we sold it, we had an extra like $40,000, and we had already built up in equity, and that's after expenses and all that kind of stuff was paid off. So we had actually more than that in equity. So we were able to put that money towards, our next home, and we could have taken some of that money and put it in the bank or doing other things. We chose to kind of put that equity back into the new home. And today I might make different choices, but that's just one example. Over a couple of years, we built up equity, and there's a few more reasons I'll get into here soon. So we'll talk about this soon.
I actually have an example, guys. So about a year ago, I had a good friend, brother-in-law, right? We grew up together, have kind of stayed in touch, and I would always ask him, "Hey, why aren't we buying a house?" And he was like, "I'm not ready." He wasn't ready. I was never too pushy. One day he told me, "Hey guys, I'm moving from Dallas. I'm gonna move to San Antonio. Can you help me find a rental?" So I dedicated a whole half a day, and we went out and we looked at rentals. When we started pricing these rentals, and at the time the market was about 1950, we wanted to be at a specific school district. We wanted to live in a specific area. The rentals were 1950 to $2,100. I had been doing a lot of business in that specific area. So what I knew is that there was a builder within the area where I had a client that had a payment maybe $50 to $100 less than that, and they were able to get a good deal, all closing costs of 4.99 interest rate, and so I suggested, "Hey, I've done a lot of business in this area. I'm very familiar with this area. Um, would you like to go see if we could possibly purchase a home?" Um, he was like, "Hey, let's try it." I said, "I'm fairly confident that you could possibly uh, purchase a home for the same payment or less than what you're going to rent. And more than likely, something similar, because it is a developing community, something similar to what you're going to rent." So we went at that point, a 4.99 interest rate was the specific buy down. Back then, the interest rates were probably like in 6.5. Now today, a year later, now we're reflecting. He's comfortably been in that house for a year. He has a 4.99 interest rate. What do you think that he sees when he turns on the TV? 7.25, 7% interest rates. And now he understands the value he got. Guys, he was a veteran, so no down payment, right? Zero down payment, and the closing cost was covered. So he won in every aspect of his deal at a time where everybody was telling everyone else that this was not the right time to buy, that interest rates were too high, which were at 6%, right? Which right now at this moment, we think 6% is actually a better interest rate than a 7% or higher. So if your real estate professional, your realtor, if he's knowledgeable, he's going to guide you to a deal. I'm able to share this information because I'm familiar with the San Antonio area, and I'm able to just educate clients on the opportunities that are available. So, guys, there's always a deal to be made. Make sure that you seek a professional that can guide you properly. That's just one of the multiple stories that I could share that are similar to that specific story. When interest rates were at 6 plus, I think I was uh, 5.5 or lower were all my closings. So that is something that I could just be confident in, something that I took pride in educating myself. If there was ever a situation where I couldn't get the client a specific interest rate, is because we wanted to live in an existing home. We wanted to live in a specific area. And at that point, we even negotiated a lower interest rate. So every time my clients went to the closing table, they already had value in their purchase. In some cases, because the fluctuation of the price, because interest rates go high, prices tend to slowly drop. They have not dropped as rapid as people would like to kind of offset, but they have dropped a little. And then you're able, some properties had equity in them already. So just being able to communicate to the client is something that I pride myself in.
Mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you think about it, hit that client. So I bet if you were to go back, not only is he happy with that decision, which I believe he is, right? If you go back and you look at those same apartments that y'all were probably shopping, you look at their rent, what they're renting for now, I would bet that they're higher than they were at this point last year or when he purchased it. And next year, likely the rent would likely go up again in the year after that. So once you get your home, your mortgage is going to be set at a certain, your percentage, you're locked in as far as your principal and your interest, right? And the only thing that could vary would be your cost of your insurance and your cost of your insurance and your taxes. So, property taxes will kind of go up a little bit. You can always protest them as well. But this is another reason why buying versus renting, in some cities, the rents increased in a few cities. Like I know we're here right next to, very close to Austin. It was reported that they saw a 48% increase in a year over year. Now, likely that was probably a more compacted area, maybe the downtown area or some area that. But the point is, a super, what can you do if you're in an apartment and your payment goes up 10%, 20%, 30% over a year? So that's another benefit when you're, his payments not going to drastically change from one year to the other.
It actually did the opposite, Tony. So
is that right?
We're all aware, right, that the homestead exemption is $100,000 now, right?
Yes.
So
that's right.
because the homestead exemption, he has to escrow less money now because his taxes got a tax break. So that deal it gets sweeter and sweeter as I discuss it. What seemed to be the worst time was the best time for him. We were also able to negotiate washer and dryer, refrigerator. Like, he got the deal of all deals. He was able to walk in with more value than he would renting. And that's just being knowledgeable. That was one thing that I had mentioned because I knew it was up for a vote, right? And this was a deal that was happening around September, August timeframe. That vote happened around November or happened in November, right? So just being knowledgeable, like, hey, this deal's already great, but I think it's going to get better. And it ended up working out. And we voted for that homestead exemption to be $100,000. And to a lot of home buyers' surprise, some people got money back. Other people it dropped
Yes.
at least $100.
Yes, mine dropped for sure.
A monthly.
Yeah, that's right. And so the other thing we want to talk about as well on this is we talk about, technically, okay, is rent 100% interest? No. Okay. But can you deduct any part of your rent on your taxes? What's the answer to that? Well, I don't know a way to do that for rent, but as you know, when you're paying mortgage insurance, there are tax deductions for mortgage insurance. So when you contrast how much credit you're going to get back because you're paying as part of your principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, as part of your cluster of payments, their interest is going to be in there, and that money is tax deductible. So we know that you're going to get better credit, you're going to get better tax advantages when you buy versus when you rent as well. So that's super, super huge as well. So we've got to make sure we mention that as well.
I agree.
For sure. Yeah. Yes, it's a surprise to see why anybody after getting this information will want to continue renting, right?
Yeah.
Because there's certainly a lot of benefits to that. And it's not just the traditional, kind of one-dimensional, hey, you build equity, right? There's a lot more that people don't see behind the scenes as far as how you're actually able to save money and able to, reap the benefits of actually owning a home. Which brings us to, I guess, next question, which is, when should somebody start considering actually buying and owning a home, right? Because there's, like you mentioned earlier, Tony, there's people who are maybe not so stable in their careers yet. Maybe they want to be a little bit more mobile, moving around. Some people might say, hey, my lease doesn't end until 3 months later. I have to wait until then. Obviously, some people will still, after getting this information, will still want to time the market, right? Maybe get into the real estate when the market's down and they're getting a good deal. So in your, professional opinion, and we'll start with you on this, Tony, and we'll go to you, Andres, is, when should somebody consider owning a home versus renting? Are those valid concerns, or should they be looking to get into buying a home as quickly as they can? And those are issues that can be solved later on.
Yeah. So really, it really is an individual decision. But if there's those barriers that are taken away, like, not sure about where you're going to be, if you've decided you like the neighborhood and you have some stability, one of the things that the mortgage companies are going to be looking for is going to be like, do you have 2 years of either same job or same job industry? And so they'd like for you to show that. And there's other ways to purchase as well. If you're self-employed or things like that, there's other ways to do that as well. But the time to do it is really like when you're coming up to your lease expiring and having to renew. When you renew, essentially you're renegotiating that lease, right? And who gets to negotiate? Really, the people that, if it's an apartment, it's going to be the apartment complex. They go by metrics. They're going to see what other properties, similar properties, are renting at, and they're going to want to make sure that they're going to stay within that market range. So likely, in a lot of cases, it's going to go up. So you have to say, okay, do I want to continue with that new payment, or what could I be paying for with a new home, and enjoy the benefits of a new home? So I think it's really, when you're coming up on any kind of renewal, that's a great time to just start looking at, just test the waters. It doesn't hurt to test the waters, which is what, in this Andres' example, he said, hey, let's do a comparison and you decide for yourself. And they made that choice that worked for them.
Yeah, absolutely. And same question to you, Andres. And I know you have a really interesting story with your daughter, where you're actually able to get her into a home way earlier than what most people think they can actually start owning a home. So I think that would be a really great story for you to share as far as your thoughts on when people should start actually owning their own homes.
So my answer to your initial question, when is it good to purchase a home or to start thinking about it? I would say now, today, yesterday. The reason being is you have to formulate a plan, right? And if you could formulate that plan, stick to the plan, and then get to a position where you could purchase a home, then as far as if you're in a lease, there's releasing clause on leases, and then I actually have some resources that'll help you get you out of the lease as well. Uh, but as far as for with my daughter was and her fiance, she just got engaged a couple of days ago. They bought a house before they got engaged, guys. So but it's working out. They're actually an awesome couple and they're living life. So I offered to rent my home to them because we're looking to purchase another home, right? And it was going to be minimal, right? And they were like, nope, we want to buy our own house. I think we're ready. All right, guys, let's take a step back. These are college students that don't have a job, right? So I'm like, well, let me look into it, right? They had also looked into it, right? So if you're a college student and you have a 4-year degree, as soon as you get an offer letter, they will count your time as a student as a work experience or you being on the job for that specified time. So once they get that offer letter, um, and if their credit is where it needs to be, then they qualify for a home. So we got everything in line. This was a plan that was developed maybe like 90 days. They knew what they wanted. We make sure we got the correct information in regards to being able to qualify uh, for that mortgage loan. Then all we were waiting was the offer letter. We actually already had a specific property in place that we wanted. All we were waiting for was an offer letter at some point um, in this specific transaction. What I'm trying to tell you guys, if someone is motivated, if someone is ready to buy a home, as long as you meet the requirements, there's never someone or something that's gonna hold you back from purchasing a home. One thing we got to make sure that our credit score, right, is at least at a 620. Some people are able to do deals at 580, guys. Just understand, yes, you can get a deal at a 580 because I know there's someone out there where I could get one done at a 580. I'm talking about my experience with my daughter. If it was my daughter, I would, hey, let's take another couple of months. Let's get you up to a 620. So we can make sure that you get a more reasonable interest rate. With my daughter and her fiance, guys, these kids had 780s and higher. So they had been preparing. As soon as my daughter turned of age, I added her as to my credit card as an authorized user. She was able to piggyback on my credit history, right? And then she developed her own credit history. She was a part of my credit history for 90 days, guys. After that, she was though these young, I hate to call them kids because they're now adults making a good living and living life in Puerto Rico right now, right? But these young adults, right? They listened. They were seeking information. They knew and they listened to me communicate to them, hey guys, if you really want this, we got to have a plan. All right, what's the plan? We developed a plan. They followed the plan. When they were ready to purchase, all we had to do was go get that house under contract. They identified a house 5 days before they got the offer letter. They knew they were getting the job. They were just waiting on the offer letter, and we were able to get them in a home. Surprisingly, my daughter has already communicated, Dad, I hope you're ready around December. I think we're ready to purchase a second home. And with the hopes of renting the one they live in now and getting a second property, the remark she made to me was, Dad, we don't want to be 50 or 60 worrying about money. We want to have a strong foundation. We want to develop a portfolio. We want to have investment properties, and we want to grow accordingly. So as a dad, I'm extremely proud, but I'm also taking a step back because it's kind of like, okay, they have a correct approach, and hopefully everything will work out. But when I was 21, when I was 22, I just was in a different mind state. So it's a blessing that I was a part of real estate, and I am a part of real estate, and I was able to educate my kids and my loved ones of the benefit of purchasing a home as soon as possible, making sure you get as much equity, and just being able to pass that on to your kids and just build as strong a foundation as you can. But having a plan, guys, having savings, making sure that you communicate with someone that has the knowledge to guide you to purchasing the home is the most important thing. And then follow and stick to the plan. Guys, there's sometimes I have developed a plan and we have a setback. We lose our job. The interest rates, when interest rates started to tail up, then if we were at a thin margin, now we don't qualify for that home. The interest rates are 1% higher. You qualify for $20,000 less. But with every one of those clients, they stuck to the plan. We had a plan. We had setbacks. As a real estate agent and as a sales professional, you have to understand that real estate, there's emotions that need to be managed. We got to make sure that we stay positive, and there will be an opportunity. So my client that the interest rates went up, well, a builder ended up buying down rates into the threes, and they were able to take advantage. They got a bigger home. They were able to get a lower payment, and they were able to purchase the home of their dreams. These are things that happen. If I had a client that lost their job, they stayed motivated. They were proactive. They found a job within a very quick time. They actually got a better job. They ended up getting more funds. They qualified for more. Yes, it took 12 months more. Yes, it took 6 months more, but it doesn't matter. When we ended up getting that property, they were prepared to get the property that checked every one of their boxes. And we were patient, and they just stuck to the plan. So guys, they have to stick to the plan. But now is the time to develop that plan. Yesterday was the time to develop that plan. Today is the time to develop the plan so you could be a homeowner and start getting equity, start getting value. I call it the biggest piggy bank in American history is purchasing a home.
Yes.
I think that about covers it, right? So absolutely. I mean, that was a really great story that you shared. I don't think a lot of people understand, what you're able to do, right? As far as being able to get into a home, and now that your daughter and her fiance, they're even looking to get into their second home now. So like you both were saying, the earlier you can get into a home and own a home, the more equity you're able to build up, and time is now working in your favor. So that way you can start building up that wealth quicker, and not have to worry about money and other things as you get a little bit older in life as well. So.
The sooner you could overcome misinformation and get with a real estate professional that could guide you and set up a plan and give you correct information, the quicker you're going to be able to conquer fear, and you're going to get to these opportunities quicker. And that's why it's so important to get with your real estate agent, your sales professional. You want to vet them. If you want to do business with Tony, I encourage you, ask him a million questions. He's probably going to have most of the answers. He's not going to have all the answers, but he is committed to find the correct answer, and he has the resource to get the correct answer. As for me, you can ask me questions, vet me, ask me questions. I might not have the answer to every question. I did not have the answer to the question of my daughter. If we're college students and we get a job offer, would I be able to purchase a home? I did not have the answer to that question immediately. 15 minutes later, I did. I provided that. They've been living in their home 10 months and they're happy. Like I said, they're looking forward to purchasing a second home. So, guys, we do not have the answers to all the questions, but we are people that are willing to seek the correct information for you. We want to do our job. We want to make sure that we add value and we're a benefit to your opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. That's awesome, man. And yeah, so Tony, any last thoughts before we wrap it up here? Any last tips for homeowners as far as understanding some of the benefits? Any last thoughts before we wrap it up here on this episode?
So yeah, I think we covered a lot of the financial benefits. Just makes sense when you really compare them. If you can do your own research, or get some input from myself, from Andres, and other people that just do a comparison side by side. Does it really make sense to rent, or what are the benefits of owning? The other thing that I'll say, besides all the financial benefits, the things that you can do in a home are different from what you can do when you're renting. If you were to put a shed, you're renting a home, for instance, and you needed more storage, you want to put a shed in your backyard. Likely, once you get out of there, that shed's going to remain with the home. It's no longer your asset. If you do it on your property, you can enjoy the benefits of that. When my kids were growing up, my son wanted his room painted a certain color. My daughter wanted her room painted a certain color. Her color changed multiple times over probably a 5-year period, but we had the option to do that kind of stuff. So that was kind of some of the fun things you can do with a home versus, or something, home that you own versus when you rent. You can't really change things like that. So some of those creative things that you might want to do, you can't do when you're renting.
Yeah. Lifestyle aspect of it as well, right? Understanding that you do have that flexibility when it is your own home, and you can do these things. But yeah. Wow, I think this is a really, really great episode. I think there was a lot of value being shared and a lot of information that is going to be really helpful to people who are considering, kind of on the fence, making that decision versus renting versus owning a home. And if you guys, again, want to own your own home, you guys think that it is a good decision, right, to start creating that plan to get into a home that you own, make sure to reach out to Andres or Tony. In the description, in the show notes down below, there's going to be their contact information. Make sure to reach out to them so they can help you actually put together this plan and help you out. But other than that, I really appreciate you guys tuning in, and appreciate you guys for sharing your value. And we will see you guys on the next episode of the Real Estate Roundup. Take care.
All right, y'all take care.